How you doing, Brendan? Or Brenton, sorry.
Good, mate.
So I have to ask because given the course of the series thus far, now that we're in, I believe, the fourth season, right? We've seen Dick Grayson kind of go from just being like the son that ran away from his dad to being pretty much a father figure. What's that been like, kind of seeing that trajectory for Dick Grayson as pretty much the team leader and I guess like paternal father figure for the Titans?
I mean, I guess in season one, he just wanted to break away from, what he would call abuse. That kind of being taught things at a young age that he probably shouldn't have been taught, and being exposed to a world of crime and goings on in Gotham that he was probably too young to be exposed to. And I also think that throughout season 1, 2, and 3, he's been dealing with his parents the death of his parents in different ways. And I think at the end of, during season 3, he lands on the right way, which is to try and be that father figure for younger people that need him. To try and be someone, be the best person that he can be, but also step up into that patriarchal role for people that have talents that may have the same PTSD going on, that may have lost their parents, that may need some father figure in their lives. Season 4 kicks off with almost the exact parallel, which is Connor Kent wants to meet his father, and he doesn't get to meet the father that he wants to meet. He gets the other one, and we all know that he's a villain, and he's a serious villain that Bruce Wayne was afraid of. Someone not to treat lightly, and Dick has to try and figure out how to be that father figure to Connor Kent that he doesn't have, and that's a tricky dynamic because on the one hand he tells Superboy, I wouldn't get within 10 miles of Lex Luthor. But on the other hand, everyone should get to know their parents, So he's battling with that throughout the season. Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you. Hey, so I was wondering, because, given that you're playing Superboy and you've seen the journey of his growth thus far, I'm pretty sure obviously you've been familiar with the comics and knowing the nature between Superboy and some of his fellow Titans members. Were there any particular moments in this season that you feel like represent some of those elements, like between you and Dick Grayson? Do we get more scenes with you and Dick Grayson this time around this season?
Yeah. Big time. I think, again, I keep going up all these dot points here, that another one of the great things about this season is the interplay between the characters and those dynamics kind of between the characters within the team. So you've got the brotherly relationship with Beast Boy, you've got the pseudo-fatherly relationship with Dick Grayson, you've got this new kind of budding friendship with Tim Drake, who's now joined the team, and all of these are kind of unique in their own way, and I think fans are really going to respond to those specific little interactions and how those relationships are unique and are differentiated by within the team. I don't want to give too much away, but those relationships, particularly the relationship with Dick Grayson, play a big role in Connor's story this season, and Connor has to rely on his family, and like any kind of kid growing up, he wants to rebel, but then he comes back, and you see those relationships shift, and you see the just how important those people are to him in his life.
Yeah, cool.
The budget is always kind of the Achilles heel of Beast Boy. It's a difficult character to do. We've seen other green CGI characters kind of be laughed at on the internet, but also praised. No shade in that direction, but you want to do it well. And we have examples of doing it well and not doing it well. This season, the visual effects team did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Gunnar, our visual effects guys. He brings a level of attention to detail that VFX artists don't always do. He's not being rushed. He's allowed the time. He's given the resources to really honor each character, what their powers look like, and how they would translate in our world. Because they're not going to be as comic book in tone as like Teen Titans animated series, but how they would look in the real world. And yeah, shout out to Gunnar, the FX guy, and everybody on his team. Thank you.
Excellent. So given that you guys are having Brother Blood finally being adapted into the series for season 4, I guess the question I would have to ask is, what is the most difficult thing about trying to navigate the horror elements of this series? Because you guys have gone into darker territory before. You dealt with Trigon and all these other guys, but then with Brother Blood, what was the most difficult thing about adapting him and his overall story as an antagonist for the Titans?
Well, two things. One, I think making it grounded, because our show is grounded in nature, so we couldn't just go into full fantasy land. We had to there's always a challenge to make it feel real. And so we think of the movies that we're thinking about, more like John Carpenter's The Thing and Exorcist. That's more kind of, I hate this term, psychological horror, because we have non-psychological horror, we have beasts and blood and viscera. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is having it match our tone and just not just throwing it, just being like, horror for horror. So.
Thank you.